time to do live just to sort of do like the scenario talk and various things about like Commander. My buddy's with me here too. He might give some of his opinions or comments depending on the situation. But definitely anyone in the comments, and he was also going to look at the comment section in case like people say something and they'll let me know. But yeah, so today we're just sort of doing like what we did before, which is like some Commander, like a Commander playtest walkthrough to kind of like give certain opinions or scenarios that might come by. While of course, we just went to a donut place to get some kolaches, and we're also enjoying like a good Sunday morning iced coffee, so you might hear me sip. No, not simp. I said sip. But anyway, so
Just say the line.
yeah,
You
just
amateur.
say yeah,
You...
like you say the line, you amateur. Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge reference. Yeah, so like we'll start with the general stuff. Like it all, like I'll say in the beginning of every video, it could always come down to what commander you're playing, because obviously that's the first thing players see, so they might make assumptions based off of what kind of commanders you're playing, what their experience of it in the past is. So I'm also going to start by saying sort of the common responses I get when I meet a new group of people and they see these commanders. So the one who's going to go first is Rhea. It's a black-white 2/3/4 that says, at the beginning of combat, blessed creature, I call it blessed creature, but target creature, gets an ability where if it deals damage, instead prevent that damage, but you make that many 1/1s with Toxic 1. So the theme of the deck, a lot of people read it and go like, I wonder where this is going to go, because it's one of those less known commanders, so people are probably second guessing like, what is he going to do, what's going to happen, and blah, blah, blah. The next one is Lazav, which really could go any direction. This is my personal favorite Lazav. People usually go the mill route with him, but this is actually one that, it's a 1/3 shapeshifter. When it enters the battlefield, you surveil 1, and you could pay X, where X is something in your graveyard's mana cost, and becomes a copy of it. Now, the commander people are probably going to frown at if this was like a stranger table, was the Lord of Pain. I actually misread the card a couple times because it's just so fun, but I actually made that the commander for my deck, where the theme is, if you play the game, you take damage. That one is naturally going to get a lot of attention right away. Like before I got this, the god that was actually in the pre-con was the commander, where people are like, oh, so your deck's about sacrificing, but that's a trick. Like that deck is usually all about making players lose life just by playing the game. So usually the Lord of Pain out of this will definitely be the starting target, because people are like, Lord of Pain, I don't want to be in pain. Like, I don't like that guy. Like, even when the commander first came out, a lot of people would say Lord of Pain was definitely a kill on sight commander. The last one, believe it or not, the ability itself isn't threatening, but almost every time I took this deck out, a lot of people got concerned, especially my high power level group for Ian, because the way he works, for those of you who don't know, is whenever a player draws their second card each turn, they have to exile the top, and if it's a non-land card, then that basically stays in a pile, and anyone who's not the owner of that card can go ahead and cast the spell. You can't play lands off of it, but it is a... you can cast stuff from it. So that's sort of the decks, and there's different ways of being like black-white on one hand, it's like, it's toxic, and we don't like toxic, so we don't like this guy. Lazav, it could go in any directions, but you know, some people fear the unknown, so sometimes that can make them a little sus. But honestly, like with Lazav, some people could see where this is going pretty fast. And then Lord of Pain is Lord of Pain. So with that, we're going to kind of get started on like some slow scenarios, and then kind of build it up to kind of see if there's ever any like tricky situations or anything like that. So for example, I figured we'd start off with Rhea. So like it's going to start pretty basic. They're just going to play a tap land and pass. Then it'll go over to Lazav. He's going to draw, and he's going to play a swamp and pass. Then with Lord of Pain, he's going to draw. He's going to play a Myriad Landscape, which is a classic commander land in my opinion. My buddies who got me into higher level got me hooked on Myriad Landscape. And then this guy is going to draw, and then he's going to play a tap land and then say go. Then draw. They're going to play a lands, and then for 2, go ahead and play a Lightning Greaves. So some things might feel hasty soon. The pro and con with Lightning Greaves in this deck is timing really matters, and I'll kind of explain a trick for that in a second. Okay, so this deck is already going to be starting to do things. So he's going to play an Islands, and then for 2, he's going to play his Commander. When it enters Surveil 1, he's going to put Doom Whisper in the graveyard, which is a good play, but the downside, of course, is players are being like, oh, that's a Surveil deck. He's got a big demon in the graveyard, so now we might have to... It's already getting to the who should we go at first kind of thing. Coffee. Untap, draw. This guy is going to play another tap land, and then he's going to pass. And then this is where the fun stuff is about to happen. So untap, draw. What this guy is going to do is play a mountain, and then for 2 mana, he is going to play the Needlehead. It's one of the cards in the Duskmourn set that says, first strike as long as it's your turn, but whenever an opponent draws a card, they take a damage. So it's given some Nekuzar vibes, even though it's not Nekuzar. But I like that card because it's mono, so you can put it in any commander deck. So draw, this guy's going to take a damage. He's not happy about that. Ooh, he's not going to be happy about this either. He's going to play a lands, and there are a couple options, but I think just to be safe, he's going to play Ghostly Prison. The reason why I like Ghostly Prison in decks like this is because if you're playing a commander that might put a target on your head, it's good to have some defenses like this. So now, for those of you who don't know what it does, any player who wants to attack him has to pay 2 mana in order to do so. So that might slow some of the players down from going at him. So untap, draw, he's going to take a damage. And then we got some good stuff in his hand, so what's going to happen now is he's going to play a land. And this is actually a tough call. So what he's going to do is, I think for now, he's going to play the Lickness Looter because he could tap to draw a card and discard a card, just so he has that. So let's see, the board scenario. So the question is, should he attack? Because there's some pros and cons to this that people say. One of which is you don't want to get on anyone's bad side too early because then, of course, they're going to remember that and then possibly want to get at you for the rest of the game. Now, in this case, obviously he can't go at the Ghostly Prison player because he has Ghostly Prison. He can go at the 2/2, but it's a 1/3, so obviously he's going to block. So just kind of, because again, he's playing Lord of Pain, he's going to go 1 at the Lord of Pain player. So then it's going to go to the Lord of Pain player's turn. He's going to untap, he's going to take 1 from drawing, and then proceed to his turn. So he's going to now play a Fabric of Ruin. He's going to go ahead and reveal the mountain just for fun. And then he's going to pass the turn. Now, for those of you who don't know how it works, so Myriad Landscape, you'll see it in a lot of your precons, is a land that says you pay 2 mana to sacrifice it to search for 2 of 1 basic land type. So like you could look for 2 islands, 2 plains, so on and so forth. But the reason why I'm not doing it now is for 2 reasons. One, this player has a couple instances in his hand like Terminate, which just destroys a creature. He could play that now, but since it's instant speed, he's of course going to wait because, like, who knows, maybe that Lazav will come back at him again and he wants to get rid of it. But if, like, let's say the Lazav player is feeling generous and doesn't want to do that, then of course he could instead on his end step crack the Myriad Landscape to look for more lands, leading to ramping, which will also lead him to being able to play his commander next turn. That's why he went ahead and revealed the mountain, even though he didn't have to. So then untap, draw. So now he's going to play an island, and this is a tough call. I think for now, he actually is going to go ahead and play his commander. So he's going to play Ian. Now again, sort of the process. He's going to go to combat, and I think this time he's going to go at the Lord of Pain player because he's open and he's playing Gross deck. Now the Lord of Pain player has to think, because on one hand he could play the instant we just talked about, but at the same time, he's probably going to be ramping. So, like, hey, Daniel, since you're here, I'll ask you. Uh, so over here, this player is attacking someone who's open. He does have an instant that says destroy target creature for this 2/2. Or he could instead just crack the Myriad Landscape and start ramping so he could play his commander next turn. Do you think he should go ahead and kill it, or do you think he should just take the damage for now so he could play his commander next turn?
Maybe option B.
Option B. Okay, so yeah, so in that case, he's going to take the 2 damage, and then it's going to go on to the next person's turn. So this is where it's going to get scary because untap, draw. He's going to play a lands. And then for 4, and this is one thing that kind of sucks because even though Rhea can target itself, if I put the boots on it, which I'm going to do just to give it Shroud, it can't target itself. I mainly put the boots in there so people can't touch Rhea or do a life hack or something, but for now he's just going to equip it and he doesn't want to be open, so he's just going to pass. He does take damage from drawing a card. And so untap, draw, take a damage, down to 18, draw. We're going to play a command tower, and then I think for 4, he's going to go ahead and ramp with Thran Dynamo. And then he's going to go to combat. Now there's a pro and con because now some bigger creatures are out. So he's hesitating. Should he just chill, or should he go ahead and attack the person who's open? Like, Dana, what do you think? Like, do you think, because he has a 1/3 and a 1/1, he could swing some at over here, but like some of the other players have something big open. Do you think you would just stay low for now and not get on anyone's bad side, or do you think he should go ahead and swing anyway?
Probably stay low.
Stay low? Okay, so on the end step, he's going to go ahead and crack the Myriad Landscape and search for 2, we're going to say swamps. So he's going to search for 2 swamps. There are 2 swamps. And then he's going to, once he's done shuffling, proceed to his turn. So then untap, draw. He's going to go ahead and play the mountain that he revealed, and then for 5 mana, play the Lord of Pain. So it's a 5/5 menace. Opponents can't gain life, and he takes another damage off a drawing card. Sad face emoji. Whenever a player casts their first spell, each time choose another target player. Whenever a player casts their first spell, choose another target player. Then it deals damage to the chosen player. And there's some strategies on how to decide, which we'll go over in a second. So now it's going to move on to the trading card game player's turn. So untap, draw. So the first one is... Hi. Draw. So this is where it could get interesting. So right now he's going to play a land, and then for 2, he's going to play a card called Humble Defector. So it's Summoning Sickness right now, so you can't do it right now, but when you tap it, you draw 2 cards, and then you give it to an opponent. So as you can imagine, the goal is to sort of play a game of hot potato, where you're making yourself draw a card, but then because of Ian, you exile the top, but then the person who's most scary, you can start taking their cards as well. Or they'll just choose not to draw because they don't want to lose one of their cards. So now it'll proceed to this player's turn. So untap and draw. Not bad draw. He's going to... Ooh, he's not doing well on mana. So I think what he'll do is for 2, he's going to play Swiftfoot Boots just for later, and then for 2, play Bitter Blossom. So now at the beginning of his upkeep, he loses a life but makes a 1/1 token. So even though he has Ghostly Prison, I think he wants to stay safe and then just go ahead and pass the turn. He does take a damage for drawing a card. So now I'll go on to this player's turn. He's going to take a damage drawing card, but this is where he can start doing something fun. Oh, trigger, by the way. So Lord of Pain. He's going to choose this guy just because he's kind of doing better. And then when he plays this spell, I think Lord of Pain is going to be doing damage. It's tough because on one hand he could spread the love, but on the other hand the Lazav player probably is going to be up to stuff. Dan, I'll let you be the vote. So do you think he should deal damage to the guy who might get a big creature soon, or deal damage to the guy at the highest life? Because there's a pro and con.
I know, like maybe the creature guy.
Yeah, because I mean, even though he doesn't want to get on their bad side, he played Lord of Pain, so in a way he's already on his bad side. So that's sort of a tough call. So untap, draw. Did he already draw? No, he didn't draw yet. Tap land, not bad. And I think what he's going to do is for 5 mana is he's going to go ahead and make Lazav a copy of Doom Whisperer. And then he's going to tap. No, he'll probably do that in a second because again, that's flying. And he technically didn't cast a spell. He just simply made it a copy of something else, which means Lord of Pain doesn't do that. Now there is also downside though, because if he swings with it, then he's kind of completely open. And it's kind of a sucky situation because on one hand he could hit the Lord of Pain player right now, but on the other hand, is that one my coffee? I forgot. Is that your coffee?
That was mine.
Oh, your coffee. Okay, I'll grab my coffee. Yeah, because on one hand, no, mine's right there.
Okay.
Because on one hand he can hit the Lord of Pain player, but Lord of Pain has Menace. And if he did decide to go rogue, he could hit him, and like that's sort of the hesitation because like you don't really know who's who yet, and so that could sometimes make it an interesting situation. So now what's going to happen is the Lord of Pain player is going to go. This is where things are probably going to get somewhat nasty. He does still have to take a damage because of the card draw. So what he's going to do is play a tap lands for 1, play Soul Ring, and he's got 6 mana, which he's going to use 5 of it to play Painful Quandary. And for those of you who don't know, it says whenever an opponent casts a spell, they have to choose to either discard a card or lose 5 life. So Lord of Pain is just going to be chilling, going to the next player's turn. I think he already took the damage from that. So now untap and draw. So what he's going to do now is tap this, draw 2. And given who's the scariest right now, I think he's going to go ahead and give it to the Lord of Pain player. And he's doing that first because he could play a land and stuff, but it's always good to wait if you can because he's, of course, going to see what he draws first before how that might affect it. So he's going to play a land for turn. And he does have 2 cards that could really help. So the first one he's going to play is this Raptor, which says if an opponent were to do something, not an opponent, any player does apply to this. If a player were to do something, if a player were to do something on a turn that isn't yours, then of course, like they're going to take 4 damage. And so now for 2, he's going to play this card, which says whenever a player casts their first multicolor spell, then everyone who isn't them gets to draw a card. He's going to choose not to go to combat because he doesn't want to get on anyone's bad side or anything like that. So that's sort of why he's just going to sit back. So now, and I don't have the token for it, unfortunately, so I might just use like a random blank card or something. Or I got a 1/1. We'll try it like that. So upkeep, untap, upkeep. He's going to lose a life, make a flying soldier, even though it's a fairy. And then he's going to draw. Because he drew, though, he takes the damage off of that. When they cast these 2 spells, I think this player is just going to discard 2 cards they don't actually need. So they can't afford to take damage right now. So what's going to happen is he's going to play a tap land, sad face emoji. And they do have flying. So he's going to go to combat. He's going to... it doesn't have haste. That's sad. I I think for 4, he's just going to play another creature and then just kind of sit back and relax. On the end step, though, they're going to tap this, draw a card, take a damage, and they're going to discard a card called the Ancient One from Lost Caverns of Ixalan. And then it's going to proceed to his turn. He has to take another damage because he drew. He's going to play a land for turn. And honestly, Painful Quandary kind of helps this guy. So what he's going to do is he's going to, for 3, play the other Lazav. He's going to choose to discard the Mind Skinner from the new set, or the newer set. He's going to pay 3 to make Lazav a copy of that instead of Doom Whisperer. And then he's going to go to combat and go 10 at... that's the first spell. So 3 damage to someone. I think he's going to go ahead and do it here because at the time he wasn't really doing a lot. And then when this guy plays a 4-drop, he'll spread the love, do 4 here. So obviously the pain is the problem. So what he's going to do now is go 10 unblockable at him, but instead of doing that damage, he has to mill that many cards. So he's going to put the top 10 cards from his deck into the graveyard. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. And they hit some pretty gross. If this happens, you take damage cards. And then I think, does he have anything else he wants to play? I think he's actually just going to pass for now. And so it'll be back to the Lord of Pain's turn. He's hesitating because on one hand, if he activates it, he'll have to give it to someone else. Oh, that's going to be annoying for players. He should do it. I think what he'll do is for... That's 3 mana right there, and he has 5. Oh, he can play both. That's gross. So for 3, he's going to play... Well, Lord of Pain includes himself. So, like, for 5, he's going to play Polluted Bonds. And on cast, he's going to deal 5 to the pool. I think he's just going to hit this guy right now because, of course, he's clearly the enemy. And then for 3, he's going to play a card called Spell Shock. So for now on, anytime a player casts a spell, they also take 2 damage. So now, I don't think he's going to swing or anything. So he's just going to pass and then watch them suffer a little more. So okay. Sorry, so a couple truths. So he casts the first one. Every player other than him draws a card. And because every other player than him drew a card, they also both take a damage. Damage, while he just gets to draw another card because he has that. Then when he did it, same thing. Everyone but him gets to draw another card. And damage here, damage here, damage here. So people are already at a pretty low life. And then, yeah, he'll still play those cards like normal. Of course, if he drew a land, he'll probably just play that. No land. So he's just going to stick with that. And then it will proceed over to his turn. So untap, draw. So land for turn, that's always good. However, unfortunately, because he played a land, he takes 2 damage. And then just to kind of get some defense up, I think for 5, he's going to go ahead and play Urbrask. He casted a spell, so he's going to take 2 damage. He's also going to choose to discard a card. I think he's going to discard a Brainstorm. Any triggers I'm missing? It doesn't look like it. So he also, I don't think he wants to attack anyone right now, so he's just going to pass. So, and on the cast for 5, I think he's going to do 5 more damage to the Lazav player, so it'll go down to 17. Then it'll go to this guy's turn, untap, upkeep. He loses a life, makes another one of these, goes to 28. and then draw. Tap lands, or actually no, he's going to play a basic lands, and actually no tap land. He has low mana stuff. I think he's kind of done with this game, so what he's going to do is for, this is a tough call, so Daniel might have an opinion. For 2, he's going to just cast it right now, Spell Shock. So he could get rid of one of 2 things. He could get rid of the commander, but at the same time, it's like, he's actually just going to go ahead and take 5 off casting it. And I think he is going to go to the Lazav player. So the question is, does he want to get rid of the commander? You could just play last turn or like one of the annoying cards. I think for now, and like he also takes 2 off the Spell Shock and 2 off that. So he's actually at 19. I think for now he's actually going to get rid of the Painful Quandary. Just because he knows he can't get that back for now. Like, it's a tough call. Like, either would have been right. So he's going to get rid of that. He's also just going to go ahead and pass. It is a multicolor spell, so everyone else gets to draw a card, which means everyone else is also going to take another damage. So draw a card. Oh, they just drew something that might help. Draw a card. And draw a card. So he's still going to proceed to pass. It'll go to this player's turn. And you just drew a card that might actually really help him. Take another damage. He's going to play a land, and then for 5, 6, 7, he's going to play Shieldred. The original one where it's like at the beginning of opponent's upkeep, they sack. Getting your upkeep, you bring something back. So he's going to go to combat. And unfortunately, he doesn't have a removal spell. Oh, so he does take 2 damage. And he's going to deal 7 to this player down to 11. And he's doing that because this one, he's doing stuff, but nothing to him really. So there's that. Then he's just going to go another 10 that way, so that way he mills 10. Then I think from there he's just going to pass. So upkeep, he's obviously going to sack the Defector, so he doesn't want to get rid of the thing winning him the game. He's going to draw. He's going to play a lands. Does he want to do this now? Yeah, he wants to do this now. So he's going to play a really weird card. Never land under opponent's control. Oh, he gained 2 life. So he's actually almost back up to 40. That's pretty gross, actually. Polluted Bonds. Whenever an opponent plays a land, they take 2 and you gain 2. He could actually do a couple things just to neuter everyone. I think he's going to do that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He's going to tap out and he's going to cast Ingaruk's Wake. And he's going to go ahead and do the 9 damage to the Shieldred player because low-key, this is where... Because that actually kind of makes it to where they can't cast spells at all. So... To be honest, in real life, the Lazav player will scoop because anytime they cast a spell, they'll take the last 2. So they're down, and then destroy all creatures that and planeswalkers in opponent's control. So that dies. This goes to the command zone. These die. And all of these die right here. Then, because no one has creatures, he's probably going to go to combat and go 6 over at him. So he's only at 5 life, so it'll be hard for him to play the game. Howdy. So then untap, draw. He did draw a card that would normally help, but honestly, since it's hard to cast spells, it's probably going to suck. Oh, for them. That might actually help then. So, for 2, he's going to play Share the Spoils. He's going to take 2. Then this opponent's going to take 2. So then they're all going to exile the top card. And then they could play each other's card. He's going to play a land for turn just to dig for another card. He's going to take 2. And then, does he have anything else? He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana left. I think he's just going to recast his commander from there. That was the first spell, so it doesn't happen. He already played his first spell, so that doesn't happen again. So this player is going to see if he can find a miracle. He can only play 1 more card. So what he's going to do is play a land, then for 7, play something with lifelink, and then he's going to scoop because that thing has menace. So now it's just between the 2 of them. So untap, draw. He's going to go ahead and for 8 play Archfiend of Despair. 8. He's going to go to combat, go 6 menace his way, and then end step, so he's down to 20. So now if this player doesn't draw what he needs, that he pretty much dies. And this player pretty much died. So, long story short, Lord of Pain can be pretty gross. So it's definitely one of the reasons why if people play that deck, it's likely why they're going to get targeted, and that's sort of some tricks around it, but also why you could epically go bye-bye.